It's a Zoom meeting. So yeah, another thing we're trying to do is Zoom meetings for everything. So even fly tying. So if you can't make it out, we'll try to get everybody to get involved, even if you can't physically be there.
Brian, can you explain the Jambalaya challenge?
Yes. So the Jambalaya challenge is our year-long challenge to see how many species of fish you can catch on the fly. If you go to our website, rsff.org, there's a tab, Jambalaya challenge. All the rules are on there, but basically it's that simple. You just, you catch a species of fish, take a picture of it with your phone, try and get, there's some tips on the website about taking good photos, but the rules stipulate you need to have either the fly or your fly rod or reel or some kind of indication that you caught it on a fly in the picture as well. And then there's a form on the website to submit your entry. So each species of fish counts for one entry. And then, the more entries you get at our year-end banquet in December, the more entries you get, the more raffle tickets will go into a bucket that we draw from, and we have some prizes. And I think this year we're going to do maybe some little, not trophies, but maybe something for first, second, and third place, like some small value thing, but personalized. It'll say, Jambalaya Challenge 2025, first place, second place, third place. And then, like I said, we'll have some raffle items like gift cards and hats and all that kind of stuff. What's up, guys? So again, we're gonna have this online eventually too, but mark your calendars down. But we'll go through real quick. This Wednesday is flights and flights, so that's kind of a fly time beer drinking get together at Rally Cap Brewery. Fly tying is optional, beer drinking is optional, but fish story is not optional. Stack Up for Clean Water. These are our monthly conservation events led by Robinson, our conservation chair. So you want to talk about this month's event and maybe what else we're planning on doing for the year?
Yeah, so this month it's going to be a collaboration with CRCL. We will be doing a tree planting in Monroe, Louisiana on the east side of New Orleans. You're on the 20th. Okay. On the 25th of this month. Anybody's welcome to join. Basically, what they're trying to do out there with several projects is in areas where the salinity level has dropped. They're trying to replant and reforest the marsh area out there. That's the central wetlands area. Central wetlands area. Cindy, you're going to be my co-chair.
Just happen to be from there, so.
Okay.
Well, and then CBRA has a bunch of projects that are going on down there, and so we're aware of it.
Yeah. There's a lot of stuff happening, and it's just to help get that structure back that's been lost over so long, and it's still being lost. But these are organizations that I've been able to participate with and enjoy having us there. So the more hands, the merrier. And then throughout the year, we're going to have other events that are going to be involved with their pickup. That's just an effort to get some stuff out of the waters that we like to fish. Try to just make a collective effort, just while we're having fun, So that's kind of what it's going to be around like this year, but I'm going to put some events out there that's going to be engaging for everybody. And potentially, in conjunction with that, we'll do some fly fishing tutorials where we're able to present fly fishing to a new crowd, someone who's involved in litter pickup that may have never picked up the rod. So that's just kind of a little bit of the awareness factor to it that I'm happy to be a part of.
Thank you. So yeah, look out, every month we'll have a Stack Up for Clean Waters event. And not on here, we don't have one for this month because January is bitter cold in the days of short, but Philippe, our casting chair, will put on casting clinics throughout the year. So hopefully by the time the good weather arrives, we'll start doing monthly casting clinics. We'll probably do most, or if not all of those, at Kenilworth Park on the Saturdays morning. So advanced, intermediate, beginner casters. Philippe's a great caster, and we've got a couple casting instructors, certified casting instructors in the club, and we'll probably bring master casting instructor Jeff Ferguson around a couple times. So, like I said, we'll keep you up to date every month on where all these events are gonna be and when they're gonna be. Also Saturday, the 25th, New Orleans Fly Fishers is having their annual expo, I guess similar to our Red Stick Day. That's gonna be down at St. Christopher School Gym in Metairie, so you can check their website for information on that. That same Saturday, I didn't realize so many things were going on that one day, but we're doing rod building, those who had signed up. That's gonna be at the Broadmoor Methodist Church around 10 a.m., Joe, is that what I told you? So anybody who didn't buy anything or sign up before, if you just wanna come check it out and see how it works. I've never done one before, so hopefully someone will be there that knows what they're doing, but we're gonna attempt not to glue our hands to the table and come away with some half-built rods. And then our fly tying at Orvis. So every month, the fourth Monday of the month, we do a club fly tying night. To do them at Orvis, we'll do them at Orvis all year this year. This one, you don't need to bring any material, bring a vise and tools if you have it. So we'll tie one pattern, we'll have somebody leading everybody through the pattern and provide all the material. So it's a good structured, group-led fly tying. As opposed to rally cap, if somebody's leading a fly tying there, they might be off at one table and people are kind of coming and going and it's kind of loose and less structured. So those are our standard monthly events. And then Red Stick Day is our big annual event. That's Saturday, March 8th. So go ahead and mark your calendars down for that. We'll talk a little bit more about that in a bit, but got that date on there. Trips. So cold water, our first trip of the year will be April 4th up to Louisville, Missouri. And that's Cole Miller is our cold water chair who leads those trips up. Do you want to give a quick?
Yeah, it's, I repeat customers on this one, I repeat business on this one. Little Missouri, if you haven't been up there, is it's basically wade fish on your own. It's not a big river, so to speak. So there's not any guide boats, whatever. There's actually very few canoes or anything that you see going up and down that river. It's a smaller place. Several access areas where we're staying on. We're staying on a house on the river. And there's actually a house next to it that we rented a few years ago that's also available, so we get this thing filled up. But we get more houses probably to do that. And it's we go there on Friday usually, fish Saturday, Sunday, come back Monday. I'll stay over a day or two where they want to do. And then again, it's fishing on your own. Good access areas. The house we rented is what we had 2 years ago. Those y'all went. It's a pretty cool house, and then a whole back of the house, like a big garage, so opens up and go outside and stuff. You're looking right at the river. And so, we're in a place, good drill. The Old Missouri River, back there.
Where on the river is that?
It is right by,
Old Factory Road.
Old Factory Road, thank you, Old Factory Road, right.
Get with me, I'll introduce you to Jim Simpson, he lives on the meat home.
Okay,
If I don't go, then maybe you can access the meat home through his yard.
oh, that'd be cool, it'd be awesome.
So,
And for anybody who's not familiar with Little Missouri, so it's basically the closest trout tail water to Baton Rouge, about a 6-hour drive.
and they've been, they've been trying to get to where they can work on the generator. And so they've been trying to lower the lake levels for months. And what that means is that the river, they've been going full bore for months trying to get the lake down. And it hadn't worked. They've got enough water that it's just not, the lake is not going down. What that means, though, is that the trout that have been put in there have not been touched, and they've been eating like fools, and because nobody can get to them. And if the river comes down for that year event, the trout will be healthy. And it'll be a fun trip.
That's what happened last year, though. They were doing the work of the dam, they weren't generating.
Right.
And when we first got there, go out where we were, there was like a rock ledge out there. And when we first got there, we started going fishing below that, and then we started thinking, wait a minute, these trout are trapped. They can't go anywhere. I mean, they're through there, these pools, and they cannot go anywhere. And we just killed them last year. It was a long
Well, tons of fish. So I was at Jim's a couple of months ago, but, I saw pictures yesterday, just off this deck. And the river is just going full bore, and I talked to him, he said, gotta lower it. Because if they can get the lake lower, then the divers won't have to decompress and do all of that. So they're trying to really draw the lake down. And Jim said they're not being successful at all. He said, which means that they're gonna keep generating solid for the next month or two minimum. But if they stop, it means nobody's caught a fish there since, out there. Anyway.
For the time, well, we had, kind of had 2 years ago, we had to look at Albert Pike, and we lost my students up there, but
You may end up doing that too.
Yeah,
That's not a bad trip.
Beautiful area, yeah, you're right here in Washington Mountain, I mean, in terms of driving somewhere not that far to get like a tonal change of scenery and everything, it's great, so. Warm water would be the next trip after that, so that is we do it twice a year, go up to Lake Concordia, which is about 2 hours away, across the river from Natchez, it's an Oxbow Lake. We'll coordinate more details on that closer to there, but that's the trip I've been doing for 30-something years, so all the guys that, yep.
The one comment you don't want to miss on this is that of the 2 trips, this one is by far the most productive because the brim are usually day. Usually, but we've done very well in the spring trip, and so hence we tend to get a pretty good turnout for the warm water Concordia trip in the spring.
Right, so yeah, there'll be a spring and a fall for both the warm water and the salt water. I added a lukewarm water
Yeah.
category. That's,
my water's cold, damn it.
okay, yeah. If you're fishing for warm water fish and cold water, smallmouth bass trip that Paul's organized.
Yeah, Crooked, if you're not familiar with Crooked Creek, it's a little unique in the fact that there's nothing on. There's no resorts, there's no hotels. You're right outside of Flippin, Arkansas and Connor. And, Crooked Creek is all privately owned land. There's not a lot of access areas, especially if this is the lower end of Crooked Creek. Crooked Creek flows into the White River for about a mile upstream from there. And, I've done this trip with some other friends of mine a couple of times. It is fantastic. We have a 3-story log cabin on the creek. And, you're 15, 20 minutes away from there to the White River, or even about 45 minutes from the River. And a couple of times I've done trips up there, and some of them go on the White River, some of the buffalo, so we would just stay there fishing Crooked Creek the whole time. Yeah, I saw ice and over the Connor trout docks.
Those are good.
Yeah, it's beautiful.
That's gorgeous.
Beautiful pictures.
That's the weir that goes across at the bottom of the bee hole and all of that, and it's completely.
That's in Little Missouri, yeah.
So,
I got some beautiful pictures the last couple of days when some friends to live up in, Flippin, Arkansas.
Yeah.
And that way, or even, my Connor trout dock was big, it's just beautiful.
All right, and then the saltwater, the spring trip, I have fall there, but that's obviously spring. May 30th, Randy is the organizer for that. So you can get a feel.
The thing about the saltwater trip is, we meet down at, in the marsh in various places, and we meet for the fish fry and shrimp fry on Saturday afternoon after everybody has hopefully loaded up with fish of some sort. The eating event is free, except that we hope that people catch enough fish to bring, fish fillets to go in the fry pot. And, we typically get a pretty good turnout in the spring. The location of the event, the fish fry event on Saturday is at Boudreaux's in Leeville. And given the limited number of places to stay down, nice thing about Boudreaux's, you can launch your boat if you bring a boat, or if you have a kayak, you can pop it in the water right there. And they've got a covered area where the rooms are, and below that is where people do their cooking and frying and whatnot. And because of that, if it rains, you're covered.
You can also leave your boat in the water overnight.
And you can leave your boat in the water. So, and the thing is, if it rains and it's horizontal, well, you may have an issue, which has happened before. But Leeville is popular, so if you think you might want to go to the saltwater trip in May 30th through June, what is it, 2nd, June 1st? Yeah, so you might want to do a reservation, and then if you don't go, cancel. Call up the Boudreaux's Motel and cancel, because it's like I said, it's a popular place to stay. And, is the 30th the Friday? Yeah, okay, so
Mhm.
Sunday would be the 2nd, right?
First.
Oh, yeah, we do have 31 days in May. Okay, sorry about that. And, but anyway, it's a good fishing trip and, usually, like I said, we have, if we don't have enough fish, I try to do a survey throughout the, course of the weekend. And if we don't have enough shrimp fish, we need to compensate for that by me buying some shrimp to go with the fish fry. So we've had pretty close to a 50-50 fish shrimp fry on most of the occasions because everybody loves the fresh fried shrimp, but,
Randy, have you talked to them lately to find out if they're working on that front section of the hotel?
I need to do that. No, I'm gonna do that. I'll do that at the next, and report out at the next meeting. Oh, speaking of report out, one more thing. If you are thinking you might wanna go, what I do is I have a list of, all of the people who have participated and or have had an interest in participating. Then I send out by email and I cycle it through and give updates on who's going, where they're staying, who are they partnered up with, because you pick your own partner, you pick your own reservations. You don't have to stay at Leadville, you can stay wherever you want, but obviously then you gotta drive to Leadville for the fish fry, shrimp fry. So if you think you might be going, give me your email in case, so to make sure I have it. We typically put it out also to all the club members, but, sometimes I have a few extra people on there, and it's always better for me to have the participants on the email so I can make sure that you get it in a timely manner as opposed to waiting for the regular cycle of the rest of you.
Yes, all club members, if you're not getting at least a monthly email from Chris Williams, reach out to me, because we send a monthly email out with monthly events and then a few ad hoc emails throughout the month for events. And for trips like Randy's talking about, if he's the point person, we'll put his email in that email, but check your, sometimes he sends them through MailChimp or something, so sometimes they end up in a funky part of your inbox, but if you're not on our list, just, come find me and we'll make sure we get you.
Well, Chris is sending his out about once a month.
Mhm.
I could be sending mine out about once a week to once every 3 days. That's things.
Yeah, no.
That's why I want to get your
For
email.
the organization, yeah,
Right.
feel free to start your own chain, but I just, as a point to the group, if you're not getting our regular emails. let
I
me
think
know.
one of the things that Randy said that's really important is to go ahead and book a room down there, whether you know you're gonna go or not. Because if you don't get to stay there, they've only got half their hotel operational, but if you don't get to stay there and you go down there to the fish fry, maybe drink an adult beverage or two, you got a 30-mile ride back to not Leadville, but, Galliano, Catfish Cabin.
If those of you who have never been on any of the club trips, that's why I describe it as we are an eating club that's got a fly fishing club. There's always gonna be plenty of food.
Yeah, I don't think we've ever not had enough fish.
No.
But I'm not since I've been in the club anyway.
No, in fact, we wound up buying too much shrimp on most occasions and decided to give the fish fillets to the people that caught them.
Just enough shrimp. Just enough shrimp.
And if you think it's snobbery or a lead about this, we're because fish on these trips, you're wrong. Nothing that lead us in this crowd.
You can read, you don't use a fly rod.
Yeah, there you go. It is a fly fishing club, that's not illegal. All right, and then everything, all the trips, we try to do a good job and the monthly events of putting them on the website calendar. So again, rsff.org, there's a calendar tab. Try to move through things here because I know Brad's got about 100 links to talk about, but one more thing. Ken has organized a trip, or helping organize a trip to Belize in October. So Ken, if you want to talk about those.
I think I want to push that trip into 2026, just because of lack of, well, some of my associates decided to have kids, and some had kids graduate. And all that, so we got tied up, and Cole wanted to go, but it was a conflict for October, so I'm gonna push it into 2026. And, we'd go to Belize, to El Pescador Lodge. It's a bonefish tarpon permit trip. Great place, I've been there multiple times.
What was the total budget that it was probably gonna cost to do that trip?
You're probably in the $4,500 range.
So we're snobs after all.
Only that.
Only that.
160, I think.
Yes.
I did.
Oh, yeah.
In October in 2024.
Want to send out a thank you to, Gary Woodward he donated 5 fly lines to the casting rod, so Gary's not here tonight, but thank you, Gary, appreciate that. Oh, sorry, thank you. And then one more, point, I talked about that, our monthly email, if you have an event for the next month, just be sure to email Chris before the end of the month with the details, so cleanup events, casting, trips, if you have anything you need to push out to the group, just, you want to send them on the 1st of the month, so, you know, you can send it to them on the 31st, but at least try and get it in.
I guess, just say, we have as much to say about Lake Concordia as you've heard from, Rand.
Okay.
So,
I didn't know if we had-
but we're gonna address that next week
Sure.
in detail. So everybody knows there's reservations to be made and, other considerations for Lake Concordia, and as Randy said, we're talking your hand. So you need to understand how to catch them, and we'll talk about all of that.
All right, Brad, you want to take over? Are you signed into the Zoom? Yeah, let's do that. Yeah, I got it open. I got it. It's just giving me fits and starts over here. More step here. Got to share my screen. Yeah, I'll do it for you. All right, here's urban legend, Brad Dunne.
Leader of Lisbon candidates has emerged. Sports director Michael Powell with a look at who's in the running for head coach of the Black and Gold.
Hold on.
This is from BRC.
All right, everyone's muted. All right.
All right. Can everybody hear me? Can you guys hear me over there? On Zoom?
They can hear you.
Okay. All right, so this is gonna be about urban fishing in Baton Rouge. Baton Rouge is one of those places, a lot of people don't think there's a lot of places to actually fish. There's a lot more places than you actually realize to fish. Go to the next slide. Just most of this is gonna be a little bit about me, kind of my background. I moved away, grew up here in Baton Rouge, moved away 97, joined the Air Force. Was a Russian language school on like a bunch of different planes. And then moved to the East Coast after I retired from the Air Force. And then moved back around January 2023. Currently do cybersecurity. Not that that's really relevant to any of this, but because of that, I use a lot of spreadsheets, like do a lot of data collection, look at data. So I have like a spreadsheet with every fish that I've caught, basically. Not like down to the individual ones, but I've got pictures of those stuff. So I started fly fishing in November 2023, looking for something to get me away from computer screens because I work in cybersecurity and I'm on a computer screen all the time. And so I started fly fishing, pack and paddle, caught two fish, got hooked. And so I'm a relatively new fly fisher, but I've put in a lot of work over the last year and a couple months. Basically fished about 206 days in 2024. I am separated.
Nightmare, huh?
Yeah. I'm separated from, my wife, and I don't have to worry about any of that. Free time. Here and like, all my free time is basically fishing at this point, or playing video games. I took up fly fishing to get away from video games, or less video. But the point of all this, the numbers here is, I fished a lot. I think the days in April, it was storming, thunder and lightning. That's the only reason I wasn't fishing.
Rainbow trout.
I mean, I kind of figured like getting a long rod or digging up in the air. What could go wrong? Yeah, so, the count on the number of fish, vast majority of that's probably bluegills and a bunch of other sunfish, and that's mostly what you'll catch, around here, too, bass and everything else too. And like my phone is mostly fish pics. But because of all that, because I fish so much, I basically like came in and tied with Brian this year for our 2024 with 50 species total. It's not all in Louisiana, like I did do some traveling. And most of that was going to be with like a hare's ear nymph and a 3-weight fly rod. It's kind of my favorite. It's a calico out of Alabama. Probably my favorite rod to fish with right now. The next slide. And then, so these are some of the places you can fish. On a screen like this, it's going to be kind of hard to see, but this, there's a list of all of the BREC places to fish. And I'll read them off to you real quick. So there's Blackwater Conservation, Burbank Park Lake, Central Sports Park Lake, City Brooks Community Park Lake, Doyle Bayou, Flasher Road Park Lake, Forest Community Park Lake, Green Community Park Lake, Highland Road Community Park Lake. That does not exist. It's in design, but like that is a place where you can actually fish. I'll get to that. Hooper Road Park Lake, Milford, Milford Wampold Memorial Park, North Sherwood Forest Community Park Lake, Hartley Bay Sports Park Lake, Palomino Drive Park Lake, Perkins Road Community Park Lake, and then Zachary Community Park. All those are listed on the BREC website. I've got the URL right there. Of all these, the lightning bolts are the ones that I've fished, and are pretty much going to be the ones that I cover tonight. The X's, they're closed or unfishable right now. For obvious reasons, City Park has some construction going on, and it's not very fishable. And like you're basically sinking up the mud if you're trying to get to the actual water going on. But Doyle Bayou, I've visited that a few times. It's covered with brush and stuff like that. It's not very fishable, and they've kind of closed it out.
Where is that?
So Doyle Bayou is, it's technically in Pride.
Okay, yeah.
Trying to think, where.
A lot of grass.
Yeah, it does have a lot of grass.
Exactly, slaughter area.
But yeah, it's near the slaughter areas. And then Flanshaw Road Park, that one's in Zachary. I've not actually ever visited that one.
It's grown over too.
Yeah, so, but those are the main reasons a lot of these are closed, because they're grown over. The lake or pond hasn't been taken care of very well. And then Greenwood Community Park also has a construction project going on. So that one is, the last time I think I looked there, it looked like a prairie on the, like it's a pretty big lake for this area.
It'd shallow up pretty good.
Yeah, it's, so they're gonna be doing a lot of work on that, so that's closed for the time being, I'm guessing for the next year, so. While they do some projects around, on there. But some of the others, I haven't actually made it to Hooper Road Park, Lake. I think because it was around this time of year last time when I tried to go. and was being kind of lazy, walked up and like, oh, it's like 3/4 of a mile, walking on my road. But the only other one, I think Hartley Bay is one of those, it's usually only open when they have softball playing there. So it's kind of hit or miss whether you're able to get in there. You could technically probably park like right there at the entrance, hop on over, but you might have somebody coming on you. So, but I haven't actually been able to make it out there, and then Milford Wampole is questionable, like near the kayak boat launch right there. I've seen carp tailing there, so, not this past weekend, but like a few months ago. Next slide. And so there's other places around Baton Rouge that you probably would think of to actually fish at. A lot of them happen to have like either a bayou or a creek running through it. And Brent doesn't specifically list these as actually having fishing there, because I guess they wouldn't think you'd fish in a ditch. So, but a really good one. Brian put me onto this one, but Scottsville Parkway Park has Montana Bayou running through it. That one's got a ton of different smaller species in it.
You can watch airplanes fly over, it's right by the airport, fly right over your head when they come to land.
Drug deals take place too.
But like, if, they don't usually markets.
They don't.
But like if you're looking for getting long ear, few others, I don't think I've seen Dollar or anything like that there, but it's a really good spot for long ear. The Old Hammond Highway Park, I think Murray or somebody else put me on that one. That one's got Ward Creek flowing through it, rather spooky there. So if you're using, I like to use a nymph and an indicator for a lot of my fly fishing. And I think when I was initially starting, I was using like the bigger ones. It would slap on the water and fish would run away. So spookier there. So you actually have to sneak up on them there. Sharp Road Park Creek. I visited that one. That one's got Jones Creek in the back. There's some ditches leading back there. Bunch of little stuff, bunch of green sunfish. I think there's bluegills up in there too. And then like any of the like the creeks like Ward Creek, anything like that, you're probably gonna have a gar, catfish, stuff like that in there as well. But then Highland Road Community Park, it's actually one that I'm going to go over. But that one's got kind of a creek ditch going through it as well. And then Frenchtown Conservation Area. I don't know why they don't have this listed as fishing, because it's got a river on both.
Yeah.
It's got two different rivers on both sides. And I think there's a couple of like little swampy areas, ponds in that area as well. And then Brett Blue Waves is basically their hey, come fish all of it, or not fish, come boat all of our waterways. So like Manchac, Bayou Manchac, Bayou Fountain. I think there's some other ones in there.
Yeah, I think off airline, whatever, where the fairgrounds is,
Yeah.
I think, I don't know if it's even finished yet,
I
but
don't think it is.
there's gonna be a kayak launch there.
So, next slide. And then, and so some other ones that are kind of non-BREC, you've got White Hill Wildlife Refuge, where we're gonna have Red Stick Day. The one thing to note about that, is they're not open on Sunday, or Monday. So if you go out there on Sunday or Monday, it was get going. At least not open to the public. And that's actually got access to the Comey River, I want to say too. There's obviously Capitol Lake. Eat at your own risk out there.
Do not eat.
Doesn't say don't eat. Don't eat.
Eat at your own risk.
Yeah, eat at your own risk. Do you like need an extra hand or something?
Contaminate the fly line.
Yeah. Make sure you clean the fly lines after you do it.
They're the sun.
Yeah. Women's Hospital lakes. I haven't actually fished those, but I've seen some people
They got redone last year.
did it,
Like, yeah, there was a lot of work on it. I haven't seen it since.
yeah. I've
I
seen
walk
it,
around there every once in a while. The water's kind of dirty.
but I've seen it in past, cause like some of the ways that I've found some spots is, I basically data mine stuff, so, I'm probably the reason you guys take all your location data off of your pictures now. But like, this is one that I'm like, oh, okay, go and look at that. But like a lot of the data mining, I'll go and look for different spots to get. Paul G. Manship, YMCA, that one's technically members only, but they never check.
Don't all go at the same time.
Yeah, so like a big group of you shows up there,
Well, be a member, there you go.
or be a member.
Be a member. I did it.
So,
They also told me that, cause we belong to the line, they told me it's catch and release too,
yeah.
not that it matters.
Don't go wandering in the woods back there. You're gonna find people you don't wanna find. That happened to me.
And then, some other, so there are multiple creeks, drainages, ditches all throughout Baton Rouge. I'm not gonna say where all my spots are, because I need to hide some stuff.
We're gonna go look on the Jambalaya town sheet, we're gonna figure it out.
I leave my location data in that. But yeah, look, there's Jones Creek, Dawson's Creek, Ward Creek, Bayou Frontier, on Santa Bayou, obviously, there's the Mississippi River. I don't know if you're fly fishing for anything in the Mississippi River.
But you can, the hard bits.
Yeah, the map.
Excellent.
See?
At certain times.
I feel like you could catch skipjacks or something weird, little white bass, maybe around rocks. I don't know.
Only
I've tried.
when the river starts to go down, all the, and the back still has those pools on it, you can surf it and stuff.
And I guess if you're like, if you well, if you're using sinking line, you want to go all real heavy, like you could probably fly fish it, but
It's not close, but the guys in Magnolia Club up in Jackson, take kayaks. And of course, they're on the east side, so they've got a high bank. They drop kayaks down on the Mississippi River, and they've got places where there are long, bars that are flow restrictions for the backwater. And depending upon certain times, they go up there, they paddle out, they drop them off the cliff, they scammer down, they have winches to winch them back up, and they stand out on those bars in the middle of the river, and they catch everything, big stripers, bass, crappie, gar,
Wow.
you name it, they catch it, mano a mano, they stand on those rocks and have a ball. And if you hook up with the Jackson Club, and several of their people will be here, on Red Stick Day. One of the guys that does it is Albert Wood. Albert will be here. You'll know him because he's redheaded. He's pretty redheaded. But he may be tired. But that's a very interesting way to fish, and they've mastered it. So,
Yeah, that's cool.
yeah. But moving on from, so the various, obviously you've got a bunch of different subdivisions around here, private property and whatnot. If you got access to those, or if you're sneaky enough to get in there and get out,
has anyone ever, I know I haven't heard of anybody do it. If anybody from the club ever had access to Bennington? Bennington is supposed to be full of huge bass, but they're very restrictive, and I've always thought that maybe the club ought to go up there, hat in hand, ask them if we can do anything for them, could we have an outing there or something, and catch and release, because Bennington is right here in the middle of town, it's a big lake. There are no fishing signs. Yeah, but that's not what I said. Hat in hand and ask, you know, they may have it very restricted, but I don't think any of us, we've talked about it in the past, but nobody's ever gone and asked them.
I fished it.
Are the stories true?
Missed the sun.
There you go.
Well, that's something I did. So the next, I think it's gonna be a title slide. Oh, okay. So there's, more stuff just outside of Baton Rouge. Most of this is gonna be within about 30 minutes from St. Francisville, I guess, depending on how fast you drive. Probably one of my favorites, Sidney Hutchinson Park in Walker. Stopped by Department of Wildlife and Fisheries with channel cats, and then, I think on the 21st, they're doing the rainbow trouts. So they feed their channel cat too much. North Park in Denham Springs is kind of a good one. It's got a couple ponds in there that are, very productive when it's warm. I haven't fished when it's cold like this yet. Might be something to do. Jambalaya Park, Discovery Park, both those have the bayou running through it. So, or Jambalaya Park does.
The Jambalaya Park.
Jambalaya in Gonzales.
Where they do the cook-off, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
But I think both of them have bayous running through it. It's not a lake. And then West Feliciana Parish Parks. I think it's literally just one park in San Francisco.
Baseball fields. And,
Yeah, it's a baseball field.
Yeah, sport complex. Right?
Yeah, and then I think there's either a creek or whatnot back behind there. But I think when I went, it was about a month or so after that tornado that kind of ripped through there, so it was almost inaccessible, and they had caution.
There's a pond there too. I don't know how good it is. I know for, one of those, race events, the pond was an obstacle that you had to go through. I don't know how many kids live through it, you know,
The creek is tiny and it, I don't know,
Yeah.
like everything up there, it can be kind of quicksandy, so.
yeah.
So I think the next one. And so these are most of the Breck ones. And this is kind of an overview, with the exception of, this is Sidney Hutchinson up there. This is about where most of these are. So there's a fair number in central, North Baton Rouge, and like a few down this way. Next slide. So the first one, Blackwater Conservation Area. There's at least two lakes, ponds here. There's some others, but next slide. That was obviously located in central. The two main ponds are the ones that I see people fishing at. I know Brian in the past and some others have fished some of the swampy areas last year because of the like into 2023, they had the drought. I think it might have killed off a lot of the stuff that was in there.
Yeah, there was like an area I used to fish and then, yeah, I walked hundreds of yards on dry ground and yeah, I've fished it since then and there doesn't seem to be any life there. But stuff probably got dropped in since then.
Let's say being big,
Yeah.
means a float, a river to come.
Right,
You know.
But so that maybe we want to go check out. But the two ponds, I've caught bunches of sunfish, bluegill. There are $1 in there. Yeah, and so I think we tried to get Robinson his $1 over there.
Sackley in there too.
There are. So I haven't caught any out of there. Doesn't mean anything. Largemouth bass, a bunch of different shiners and minnows. I know Ryan is likes to like microfish for a bunch of stuff there.
Yeah, microfish for the sunfish and then, yeah, the river will have like your shiners and spotted bass. You go to the Comey River back there.
And from the newbies perspective, like the tips on that, smaller hooks for the smaller stuff, like the $1 and whatnot. There's a lot of vegetation there, and even in the wintertime, so like that's where a lot of that stuff hides out in. So if you're like, sometimes you can just jig for them in there. That's one of Brian's techniques.
Yeah, and there's some places where, I don't know, there's gravel right on the bank. I don't know if it just spilled over from the walkway or something, but the little dollar sunfish use that as beds. So I mean, I usually don't have it. My fly line is inside the guides and I just kind of jig around the gravel and sticks. And you'd be surprised at what comes up.
And it's probably one of the few of these that I'm gonna mention that is suitable and has like access points for like a kayak or a canoe or something like that. So you can get out there, get in the middle, fish off the, especially on that big pond, fish off the middle.
I've seen sagleg bedding.
Crappie.
I've seen sagleg bedding, so didn't catch it, but I saw it.
Not too far from the parking lot, it's mowed grass, so yeah, you can carry a kayak or drag or roll something to the big pond pretty easy.
Yeah. So this is my stomping ground. So I live pretty close to here, so like usually after work and I've probably fished this 50 or 60 times in the past year. But it's because it's right nearby.
Is that Burbank?
It's Burbank. So it's Burbank Soccer Complex is where this is at. And I think they call this Burbank Lake. They call it the Breck. It has more than two, but like these are the two main ones that people catch fish at. There's like the front pond here and then the back pond. Issue with the back pond I have sometimes during late spring, early summer, and kind of like through the fall, like they get really bad about the vegetation in there and like don't mow it. So it gets really overgrown. So parts of it can be hard to get to. So I haven't fished that one nearly as much. It's a goal this year is to fish that a little more.
Well, I think technically that's the
I mean, it might be.
retreat, it's like the dog retrieving lake or something like that.
It's not the dog place, so it's not the office.
That's on the side of the park.
So that's the one I'm talking about. There's a couple others. On those side.
Well, that was originally.
This
dog
might,
retrieving.
it might have used to have been.
Yeah.
I think they turned it.
It was original.
Yeah. But so, most of where I fish is right along this front side on the west side. There's some deeper channels like right in here. So this time of year, especially for the rainbow trout and whatnot, if you're fishing for them. Yeah, usually like last year, and this is when I didn't necessarily know what I was doing too. So just throwing like a woolly butter or whatnot. I would catch crappie, rainbow trout and whatnot in this area.
Brett could stock that pond several years in a row, but then the last few years, I noticed they've been doing kind of moving their stock.
Yeah, so Breck usually.
With trout.
And Breck usually picks different spots. I think there's some of them, so like I'll get to Howl eventually, but
Yeah.
Howl's one of those that I think they're trying to promote a lot more. They stocked out this year with rainbow trout. This one is only getting stopped by Department of Wildlife and Fisheries this year, so that should be the 21st, and that happens.
LEWF stock this.
Yeah.
In January.
Yep.
In addition to the correct stock in December.
Yeah, and like I was saying, Breck did not stop this one this year.
Right.
So, and I actually have a slide later on that talks about that stuff. But next slide. This one is obviously in South Baton Rouge. We talked about that. This is one of those that's really heavily pressured. There's a lot of people who fish this one. I am successful there because I don't fish like the rest of the people there. Most people are probably pipelining on the bottom, Carolina rays, catfish, stuff like that. Or throwing like spare baits at the side, trying to go for like the giant bats.
Ever fished that little pond that's in the corner across from the dog park? On the soccer fields part?
Yeah, I've thrown the line a couple of times.
I used to spend a lot of time at that soccer field with my son out. Like, and I spent a lot of time on that little one, and I always use small baits, and I caught all of these species there, but they were all small. Everything in that little pond was stunning, but I never saw anybody else fishing in all the years that I spent it there. And, so I would take a 2-weight and go out there and take small, harmless flies and have a ball some days.
So that's kind of what I do at the front pond here. Because I catch crappie, I catch, I think I've caught 7, maybe 8 of the suncatch out of this pond. Like I've caught orange spotted there. Like I
Which times of the day do you usually go out there?
So usually I'm fishing after work. And so like it's usually, I think I put that in there, but like late afternoon, right before dusk is usually when I'm fishing here. So it's usually like an hour or 2 before end of the day, for the last of the day. Obviously, later in the year, it's easier to jump over there after work. This time of year, I just get some jet out or anything. I mean, I work from home too, so it's one of those, that's not really that big of a deal. But like I say, like, usually better fishing, late afternoon, or dusk. A commonality that I have for like a lot of these places where I'm fishing, is like there's a lot of good structure. So you've got a bunch of cypress trees, like cypress knees and whatnot. There's like all types of those spots for little fish to hide in. So like you've got like orange spotted. I've seen like and caught red spotted there, which is usually something I only catch in creeks and stuff like that. Part of that, like I've found, I've kind of looked at it on a map. If you go back slide. So like right here, and it's not gonna be real apparent on the map, like right here, there are pipes coming in. And like, if you look at a bigger map of Burbank Park, there are actually like little ditches, feeder creeks, going out to some of this other, like this is actually like a ditch or a waterway right there. And then there's actually like a little swampy area like right in there. And like a few weeks ago, I caught like some little bass and some fish and whatnot there. So there's all types of fish in here, and like
How often do you get shut out? Going out there?
the only days I usually get shut out are when it's really windy. And I'd say really cold, but since I started fishing with nymphs, like I don't get shut out that much here. But I also know, like I've fished it so much, I know where a lot of the fish hang out. I would say if you're going to actually fish here, and like you want to catch fish, and they, depending on, like, I don't want to call it the time of day, but depending on what's, like the fish kind of move around, but like the spots that I have the most success, like usually here, like along this, like these cypress trees, like anywhere there's like significant structure. So like there's cypress trees here, and there's that little inlet here, and then like the end here. One of the cool things is, like late winter, early spring, the crappie usually start coming in here to feed, in some of these like, little spots right here. And like you'll also start to get them around the cypress trees and whatnot. So, but yeah, like I've fished this a lot, so caught all types of stuff. Next slide. Yeah, we covered the crappie.
Do you use poppers?
I would do sometimes. I actually like when I was tying the salmon one bud. First time when, because I basically made it into a smaller book, so I can actually catch the smaller stuff. Is the way a salmon one bud is. usually has a little bit bigger hook. Keep it from doing that, but like when I was out on the work trip in Alabama, I was throwing that, all types of like, little stuff was hitting it, I'm like. It's like, make that a little smaller, just, right, and it was, so I used that to test out the smaller sandborn bugs. I have pulpit poppers there too, I think the issue with the poppers, and go back to the back, is like, this is where most of the shallower water is. There's not as many spots, I would think, for like bigger bass, like the ambush things. I know a lot of people, like I'll catch smaller bass all along here. I know Steve, you caught like decent sized bass on this side of the lake. It's a little bit deeper here and it's deeper back in here.
What size nymphs are you fishing?
Usually the 16 or smaller.
Okay,
So, and it's usually like some variation of the hairs.
okay,
Sometimes it's the flashback.
okay.
And I've got some that
The
are,
bead or,
yeah,
okay,
so something that'll sink and like half the time they'll get on the drop, half the time. They'll sit there for half a second, like I'm using an indicator in them. And like I can usually see stuff like, hitting at it. And like, I usually use that as kind of a finding pattern as well, it finds a lot of fish. So, but I'll move on, so I'm not talking all night about Burbank. Another one, that I enjoy fishing at, I know Brian goes to kind of a bit, Central Sports Park. It's just this, as far as I know,
There's little side areas, but yeah, I don't know, I don't really do good in them,
yeah, I think the side areas are,
pretty overgrown.
yeah, they're overgrown, and then like there's, if it's drought-like conditions, they kind of dry out. But this one, there's a ton of good structure all along here. I've not caught any really big bass here, but I have seen some big bass when I was fishing for some other stuff and tried putting a nymph in front of them, and they're just like, no, get away from that. But, yeah, this, catch all types of stuff here too. Go to the next one. I haven't caught crappie here, but, I know Brian has said that, there's been black crappie caught out of here. I've caught bluegill, I've caught greens. I've watched Brian catch a dollar and not catch a dollar out of here. I've caught, red ears, I've not caught warmouth out of here. But like I said, there's definitely largemouth bass in there. There's, they stocked it last year. It was one of those that I would go to for rainbow trout all the time. I know there's golden shiners, and I think for any of these that I'm talking about, there's always gonna be minnows and always gonna be bait fish of some sort. Whether it's stocked like golden shiners, like gizzard shad or something like that.
People buy golden shiners for bait, and then when they're
Yeah,
done
they'll
fishing,
throw
they
it.
just pour the bucket in.
This is another one that I usually do better, fishing late afternoon, dusk, time frame. I also do really well with nymphs here. But like I've also had, like, talking about poppers, like I had a lot of success with poppers here. Kind of before I knew what I was doing, I was fishing mainly with the little brim poppers, here and pretty fun. Fish woolly butters, that's the and if you're looking for a dollar, go back a second. This is got kind of a good indication of like, when I talk about salad around, so like a lot of the growth here, it's usually in areas like this, and, Brian's basically, jigging in there for a dollar as well.
Yeah, any pond that has a bunch of stuff underwater, if you find one little pocket, like a size 20 rainbow or something sparkly, just jig it up and down, there's all kind of stuff in there, sometimes bigger than you get surprised.
Next slide. Forest Community Park, not one of my favorites. It's a very small It's for as small a pond it is, I think it's probably just near a bunch of people, so it's very heavily fished. I think when I went there, probably the first or second day, that I could for rainbow trout, there were just tons of people there, fishing for rainbow trout.
Pretty much everywhere.
Yeah. Maybe I'll help with the fishing. But like there's usually people fishing off the pier there, and like in the summertime, it can get pretty overgrown with, vegetation going out there, but that's kind of neat ponds too.
A lot of people watching there as well.
Yes,
Consequently, it hinders the flood.
yes, and that's gonna be one of those, when I talk about North Sherwood Forest later, that's one of those that, there are a lot of people here, not as many kids, but, just because of where it is, but there's still usually a lot of people walking around. So I'm always looking back, checking my back cache, make sure I'm not looking somebody, because I did that once.
Yeah, kennel birth is wrong like that.
Yeah, that's my line. Yeah. So next slide. Like I said, really small pond, very heavily pressured. I've caught sunfish, just really bluegill and green sunfish here. I've seen people take largemouth bass out of there, and I've seen people take rainbow trout out of here. I didn't catch any there. I caught it elsewhere. But usually like I'm using them here, because it works pretty well for small fish. And it gets people talking like, who's he fishing with? Like he's catching so many fish. But usually I'm 5 or 6 at the most is usually when I catch. I'll move on somewhere else.
I'm gonna note that there are giant grass carp in that pond, and you'll see them come out stunning. You'll just see these giant things
Okay.
floating around. They rarely ever will even look twice at a fly, but I've cooked a couple. One time I went and I was in my work clothes and I had one in the mud and I didn't want to get in the mud to get it out, but if I went one day, had just cut the grass and there were grass clippings on the water and they were munching like crazy. So if you catch it on the right day, it's worth a shot.
And I knew doing this, like, people would add and stuff like that, but what were you gonna say?
Groundskeeper stopped it fast.
Huh.
They're going across the short point of Fairfax, there's a private pond. And you would catch bass there and bring back.
That's funny.
Ben, any comments on moving fish? Is that okay? Pond to pond,
Oh,
moving fish?
That's like one of the worst things.
Yeah.
May, as a recreation standpoint, have it.
For those wider roads, there used to be some guys over in Dallas, not Dallas, Houston area, that, fished along a big lake, with a golf course. And when they would tie up balls of green deer hair and not shred it. And they would take grass clippings, a bag of grass clippings, and they would chum the grass
Okay.
clippings until the things were feeding along.
Okay.
And then they'd throw out their deer hair fly.
Okay, you try that.
And they hooked into big.
Yeah, they're massive.
They had a ball.
All right.
They were fishing 10 lakes.
The other story about Forest Park was that, it was rather shallow when they first. And Catch helped them in the race and water level.
Huh, cool.
I heard.
This next one, is one I think Chris, if he's on, he's the one I think who put me on to, and I think Ben as well, put me onto this for dollar sunfish. So the little black line you see running through there is a creek. It actually goes back up in here, butts up against a private subdivision, and you could technically toss a line in there. They actually had some pretty big panfish in there. Yeah.
I used to live on that lake that a little smaller than by the creek.
Yeah.
Because then we, the road, I live in that other,
Okay.
next to the culvert through there. And it was
unfortunately, do stop the road, it was full
Hmm.
of big bass and.
Yeah.
We just full.
But like this is full of like small little fish. They're actually, Chris has said that like on this section, there's actually some decent size largemouth bass, and it's decent size for a creek that size. There's some like deeper pools and whatnot, on this side. But there are two sides to this, so I know this is kind of in the way. But like the disc golf course is like all over, so that's I don't think I actually put that on here. You do have to worry about people throwing frisbees at your head. And you might actually, if you're not paying attention, you might actually be walking through somebody's course. They'll usually yell at you when you do that. I've had that happen a couple of times. But, I'll usually I've caught like a couple of dollar here, definitely catch red spotted here, and all the other kind of stuff. I've caught long ear here before, I catch bluegill everywhere. So, and they're a little minnows and whatnot too. I just don't size down enough to catch something like that. But like I said, there's two sections. This one is kind of hard to see, but like that one's a little clearer there. It's a little spookier over there. And this one, you can see all the trees kind of along there. It's a little bit easier to catch fish there because they're not as spooky.
It's because those cross-country people make them.
Yeah.
use the people.
But next slide.
And there's, just by the way, it's also a kayak going back there to
Yeah.
get you the body.
And I was gonna talk about that. But yeah, the kayak launch is across the way. So there's obviously Bayou Fountain right there, that you can fish out of. Bayou Fountain for me right now is there's not, since they cleared it out, there's not a ton of structure anymore. So I haven't fished it lately. But like when I fished off of like the kayak launch and stuff like that, I haven't had a lot of luck. Even with stuff that I've always kind of have a lot of luck with.
Right.
So.
Yeah, I feel like you gotta go further down to a little bit.
Yeah, so like obviously blue spotted, red spotted, green,
Blue spotted?
dog. I said blue spotted, bluegill, not blue spotted.
And if you going back in the woods back, like that bottom side, you can go back in the woods along by your fountain and have access to it.
I've not, Steve and I have not dared like have access or have had access to
Right.
somebody's private.
Well, it's what's all Breck Park, right? On Observatory, there's some trails back in. The last time I was there, there was not much vegetation along the shoreline, so you could actually get into the bayou if you need to fish from the shoreline.
Yeah, the issue.
And I think there's a trail along there.
Probably worth checking out.
The issue is the core, is snacking, right? Yeah, like they took all the habitat out,
Yeah,
so it's just a
it's just a
Feature
canal
list.
at this point.
running ditch at this point.
We're just waiting for everything to come
Right.
back upstream towards.
We don't bring our Christmas trees out
Turn
there.
the damn drainage ditch into a drainage ditch.
Correct.
Yeah. But like many of the other places, nymphs work really well here. And like most of these places, I'm fishing about a foot down. If it's deeper, like I'll raise it up a little bit, but most of them it's about a foot. This one, I sometimes have to lower it a little bit, because especially when like there was some drought times, wouldn't be as much water, so. Or sometimes I even take the get off and jig, so. It's that one. This is another one of my favorites. How is got a lot of good structure. You can see, smaller screen, so it might not be, I mean, I can obviously see it from here, but there's, a lot of spots for fish to hide. There's,
Where is that pond in?
so it is,
Brookstown Road.
yeah.
Okay. I know where the park is, I used to play golf there.
Yeah, so there's a couple of these parks that if you put like sort of central, if
Yeah.
you choose the actual. The location, the park location, you'll go to like the other side of the park.
There's
Okay.
two windborne
Yes.
entrances, but the Brookstown entrance takes you right to the pond.
Correct.
Ah, okay,
Yeah.
probably.
There's some like apartments across the street and then the entrance, yeah, it's not on Windborne, but it's.
Central's kind of like that too, like central, like there's a Lubbock Road side, if you go to that side, you're gonna have to walk away.
Right.
Hooper Road, I think.
Yeah, so the main entrance is on Cooper to the pond, yeah.
Yeah, but Hooper Road is where you go for central, but this one, yeah, so like Brookstone. But that's how you would get there. I've never had any problems with anybody.
I used to play golf there, I used to play golf there all the time, never had any problem.
Yeah, but it's also pretty heavily pressured, but, for whatever reason, the pond itself is very healthy. They stocked a ton of rainbow trout, and at this time, I think they said like 450 pounds or something like that. And like 6 or 8 of the tag fish. So, and this is one of the few that I think that like only 2 or 3 of the tag fish have been caught. So, but yeah, like I'll catch, decent sized red ears. I've caught some like fairly big bluegill, here. One of my, well, go back, no, you're right. One of my spots is like, there's a bunch of structure right here. Well, if you can see that, but
Hard to cast right there.
it is hard to cast right there, so like, you're either roll casting or like you could probably also, bow and arrow cast, to get it in there. Yeah, during the summertime, it's a little harder over there, and there's obviously trees and whatnot. So there are some challenges for fly fishermen here. But if you get pretty good with the roll casts, there are a lot of great spots to fish around here. Usually when I've caught the rainbow trout, it's been through here or, like right here. And a lot of people are tight lining, right through here and like off of here, and I'll see them off of this bank too. I think this is an old picture. Something happened to that tree, like, there was a storm or something, they either got hit by lightning or, knocked down, but, it's, probably dead and just split in half. Pictures I've seen split in half now. But, this right now is kind of covered in, like, either, I don't know, like salvia or warheads and some water, floating, plant. So like, there's a lot of that there, and it's been kind of shifting around. So I think they're probably working on trying to get rid of some of that, but there's a lot of good spots. Have a lot of luck down here too. But I'm pretty sure, go to the next slide. Definitely seen people catch crappie here. I've actually seen a crappie chase something on the bank, grab it and go back. It's the interesting, one of the more interesting things I've seen there, but a lot of bluegill, a lot of red ear, green sunfish. I think pretty much all of these are gonna have sunfish, bluegill. But not all of them are gonna have red ear. Like it's a pretty big red ear. Definitely caught bass here. They stock the channel cats every once in a while. I think sometimes they do their catfish again here. For Breck, not for LDW. But yeah, nymphs pretty good. Bass tend to hit on like the poppers and woolly buggers, stuff like that. Next one. Trying to speed it up a little bit. This, I'm not gonna call this my favorite park, but this is probably one of those where I catch the most fish. I know some of you I've talked to, you're like, yeah, North Sherwood, like, I don't ever catch any fish there. I've had 60, 70 fish days here. And it's fishing like 3 hours and a half. But, and like, I'll catch shiners, crappie, Want to say I've caught some red ear here, definitely bluegill. Most of the time when I catch the shiners, it's off of, this right here. Like somebody was saying about, watching your back cast. This is a playground right here. So you gotta kind of watch out for kids, and there's usually if you're catching a lot of fish, kids whatnot will come over and talk to you. Someone will want to touch the fish, someone want to throw it back. Do some funny things, throw the fish back. But I catch a lot of fish here. There's tons of structure here. You can, if it looks like there might be fish there, like.
Library will close at 9 o'clock.
Yeah.
All study rooms and all meeting rooms will close at 8:30.
But,
Yeah,
there's a
9
pier,
minutes, Brad.
yeah. There's a pier down here, there's a pier down here, I can catch.
The library will close in 40 minutes.
40 minutes, I don't know if I can finish in 40 minutes.
You have 9 minutes. Save some time for the round.
So, yeah. Any question though? Palomino Park's another one that's, an interesting one to fish. There's tons of, lily pads here. Wintertime, there's still a lot of lily pads. Summertime, it's kind of difficult to fish with fly rod. You can still do it, but, it can be frustrating. But they're red ear, bluegill, largemouth bass. It's a smaller pond, not usually it's like low pressure. I think the only time I've seen it kind of have low pressure is now when they have it stocked with rainbow trout. It was now when they stocked with rainbow trout. Next part is it? It's in central.
It's also a hooper, but it's kind of way in the back of a neighborhood.
Yeah. So yeah, that one's in central. It's just that one.
Sorry.
No, you're right. See, try to speed up here a little bit. Yeah, usually if I like fishing for bass, it's like either fishing off of the lily pads or trying to fish it with people. Next slide.
It's pretty deep.
Yeah, it's
In the middle of the.
pretty deep for a small pond. And so this one is Kenilworth. It's actually like called Perkins Road Community Park. I do okay here, like I fish this one a lot, but like this is one that I usually do better later in the day, when you like fly fish there for casting instruction, stuff like that. People usually don't do great here, they might catch a couple, but this is one of those like I usually do better in that.
5 minutes before dawn.
Yep. And that's usually when I catch bass too, it's like, starting to look dark. But that's how it's all shaped out. This is usually the entrance that people normally get to. I'll fish all up and down here. There's some spots where I'll get all types of stuff. I've caught porch spotted here, not very many. I've caught golden shiners. I've caught some giant red ear here. There's some very big red ear in this pond. And then there's also some decent sized bass as well.
And I've caught catfish in that pond.
Yeah. I think they stock it in. Next slide. The gar and the catfish, there's catfish in there. Perkins Road Community Park has, like on the back half of it, there's Dawson's Creek. And catfish and gar would be something you can catch out of there. And I've seen catfish and gar. Just haven't caught them out of there. Yep, and this should be the last one, but so Zachary Community Park, this one doesn't have a lot of structure. So there's actually 2 ponds here. There's more than that, but they're not necessarily part of Zachary Community Park. You guys find those on your own. But there's not a ton of structure here, even like during the summertime. So I'll do okay here, but like this time of year, unless I'm fishing deeper or something, or even just fishing with like regular tackle or like a blue shoe tail or something like that. usually have to fish a little deeper this one. Next slide. I know there's gizzard shad in here, because I found one. But yeah, there's mainly bluegill, greens, long ears. And then, they stock this with rainbow trout. The lack of structure, there's a lot of erosion, and if you fish Perkins Road Mini Park lately, that's why everything is overgrown right now. It's because they're working to try to get roots down in there to actually work on the erosion. So they'll probably do something like that in this park later. But yeah, usually fish deeper here. So next slide. And just here's some others. I think I've already covered these earlier, but here are a lot of the species. Sydney Hutchinson is very good for crappie. I've gotten at least one or two people here, their crappie out of there. So
Where is that?
that one is in Walker. But that's one that I go to periodically. Next slide. Just one more. This. So just some like other species that you can catch locally. Rainbow trout, like I posted on the Facebook page, Rex stocks it. And then Department of Wildlife and Fisheries Get Out and Fish program. They stock stuff throughout the state. Burbank is their Baton Rouge chosen location. Sydney Hutchinson is probably the next closest one. This is the other reason why I mentioned that. Obviously, there's Hammond and whatnot, a couple of parks up there, but that's about 45. Garth, like I mentioned earlier, throughout all the various creeks and whatnot. And then like there's sections of Montesano Bayou that like feed in from the river, and so you'll get some big fish coming in through there, various gar species and whatnot. And I think the same thing happens for some of the bayous too. So, catfish, channel cats, and Burbank, Sydney Hutchinson, that are stocked, and then you probably could catch all manner of catfish in Mississippi, like I said, various bayous and whatnot, and then. Carp's not one around here that you normally see. Well, Milford, Wampold, the park off of Stanford. The ones near like the boat launch over there. You mentioned earlier, I've seen carp tail over there. So that's a possible spot for carp if there's not a bunch of crap over there. There should just be one more slide. That's mainly, and these are my secrets to adding species. So you kind of have to travel to get more species. But like I think I got like 40 or so in the state of Louisiana. And so,
Question, what do you use to disgorge hooks? Do you fish barbless? Because you're using small hooks.
So generally I will pinch down the barb, because even the stuff enormous, like the small one, aren't necessarily barbless. And like disgorging them, like it's usually using like a small pair of horses.
Then I got a suggestion for you. Go to Walmart, go to the sewing section, buy, it comes in a package of 2 darning needles, plastic needles. Cut the top of the eye off. It gives you a little pitch rope, a little line, and then take a mono braided loop and put on that on the end of it, put it on a zinger, and you will never look back. It is amazing to disgorge those small hooks from inside the mouth of these small fish. Works great.
Yeah.
You ever fish Spanish Lake or Alligator Bayou?
I have not.
Is it possible to put a link to this on the website?
I mean, I can,
Yeah, I'm recording the Zoom and I started a new Red Stick Fly Fishers YouTube channel. I haven't put anything on it yet, but once I get it uploaded, I will have Chris email it and put it on Facebook and all that stuff.
and then it also helps to have lots of time to fish, so. I've used a lot of you as resources, Ben, Chris, David, like a bunch of you as, like, I've gotten, I don't wanna say spots from you, but, y'all given me advice over the past year or so, and I've definitely used it. So usually resources, and then the next slide should just be where all the rainbow trout are, with links in it as well. So, yeah, both these are available on both their websites, which are there, which is obviously really hard to read, and then somebody get it, but, are there any questions? That should be the last slide. Apologize for waiting a little long.
Thanks, Brad. Well, they start going if they're gonna kick us out or not, but we'll do our raffles here.
Was I supposed to drop bring money in that?
Yeah.
We're all looking forward to it. Yeah. You put it right on the top. Come on, Randy. Like, get it or what? I was trying to. I don't have one in here. Hurry. Yeah. Recalendar. Calendars are here. Thank you. So, I didn't get to it in time, but this year we're doing 2 membership levels. There's a $50 one, and you get a free shirt with it. You don't have to do it, but you do. That was an option. Not okay. You get better deal than that. I mean, you get a free hat. We're trying to raise a little bit more money, and you don't really get anything else besides shirt or hat or whatever. Thank you. Can you email me? Okay. All right. Yeah. We're starting to get speakers lined up and all that. We've got Jim Wright lined up to do like a Montana trout presentation. We have somebody to do like a local freshwater and somebody to do local saltwater. And I think that'll okay. Sure is. Okay.
Taken?
Yes.
Yeah. A lot of stuff.
Yeah.
You
can pay on PayPal if you go on our website.
Okay.
Did you do that?
No, I mean, like, apply here, and then it's like. Okay.
Somewhere buried.
Okay.
What's your email? I'm going to read on our yeah. Hey, they're coming out. Do you mind writing your email down here too? Make sure you get on our email list. Thank you.
Thank you so much.
How was y'all's trip? Good. Yeah? Yeah. Okay. Well, all right. I was about to lose some flies at least. Or crossing. There you go. Yeah. Travel is okay. Okay. How many fishing days would you go this year? Three. You're like all of them. All right, Daniel. Thanks for coming out. Nice to meet you. So this Wednesday, like 2 days from now at Rally Camp. Rally Camp Brewery. It's off Airline. It's off Stephen. I'm able to announce. Yeah. You good? I got another. Yeah. Rally Camp. Very lunch or you can look up that. Check it out. All right, man. That's fine. Yeah, those are older, but you know, take one. Fiberglass rod that I cast in like give it up. Let's do it. Okay. All right. You want to get all in? Depending what comes up.